So you just bought an 09 to 14 Ford F-150 or a Raptor like this one behind me, and then you soon realize that the lighting on it sucks. From front to back, I'm going to show you what us at Headlight Revolution recommend when it comes to aftermarket automotive lighting products. So let's get started. Obviously the most important are your headlights. Now what I would recommend over any LED bulb, no matter how much money it was or how bright it is, I recommend a housing. A while ago we had a Raptor in just like this one. We've tested a ton of different headlight housings to find out just which one was the best. Chris went over a ton of different headlights in his video and he came out with about 4 great options. The Morimoto XB LED headlight, the XB Hybrid, a headlight by Recon, and the AlphaRex Nova. If you choose one of these, you will not go wrong. The XB LED housing from Morimoto comes in at 223% brighter than stock. The Recon headlight came in at 238% brighter. The Morimoto XB Hybrid comes in at 173% brighter than stock. And the AlphaRex Nova comes in at 237% brighter than stock. Be sure to watch that video because it's not just about how bright those headlights are. All of these percent brighters on these housings were measured against that OEM HID housing. So if you did have that halogen bulb in these housings, that percent brighter would be so much greater. It's all about that beam pattern and that drivability. Now I get it. The headlight housings are a lot of money. Generally, no matter what you go with, they cost a lot. If you want something that's a little bit more cost effective, you're gonna wanna do an LED bulb. This bulb is an H13 bulb. It comes with a halogen bulb. That halogen bulb is terrible. And a while back, we made a video that tests a ton of different LED bulbs and came up with this. The SV4 bulb comes in at 383% brighter than stock on low beam. The SV4 bulb comes in at 202% brighter than stock on high beam. And the GTR Lighting Ultra 2 comes in at 379% brighter than stock on low beam and 257% brighter than stock on high beam. Now these two bulbs we recommend over any other bulb that we tested. They were brighter on the wall when we used our digital lux meter, and the distribution of light was so much greater than that of any other competitor. Now when we did that headlight housing shootout, we did not have the GTR Lighting carbide headlight, but don't worry because Chris did a full-on review of this housing. So if you want to figure out how much better or brighter this headlight housing is compared to that stock halogen bulb, be sure to check that out. Now the recap is over, we can continue. These grill lights right here are trash, but they are only on the Raptor. If you guys have an F-150 and not a Raptor from 09 to 14, skip ahead. If you're done skipping ahead, let's get started. We're going to go over 4 side markers and 3 grill lights, all from Morimoto. So let's get to installing. This is what we're going to be replacing. As you can see here, it's hazed over, it's ugly, it's the last thing you want. What you're going to have to do is pop the hood. Now, there's 2 bolts on the back side, but they're very brittle. That means don't use an impact, use a screwdriver like this one. Now you're going to reach up, turn these 2 bolts counterclockwise. Now you can just spin these off with your fingers and do the other side. With those bolts removed, you can reach up and remove this and unplug it. Now all 3 are kind of held in by this little tab here. Pull it out, you can pull it down, and then just go ahead and unplug it by pushing this black tab right here. Do the exact same thing for the other 2, and you can install those Morimoto ones. Just look how much better this thing is. All right, we're gonna plug it in. Plugs in the exact same way that one just got taken out. You hear a nice click. Put this back in that plastic groove here. Then go ahead and put those 2 bolts back in. Put the other one in and tighten it down. Now look at that. Those things are so much brighter and so much better. Let's move to the side markers. Boom! Upgraded. Let's get to the side markers. Okay, so To stay consistent, we're going to do the Morimoto side markers up front. There's 4 in the box. They do have warranties too, so they're a really great product. There's 2 yellow ones in the front, and then there's red in the back. So we're going to go ahead and remove these. These, just like the front, are terrible. They look gross, they're old, they're dated, and these have a smoked out look. So let's get these installed. We're going to go ahead and use a pry tool. It's pretty easy. You don't have to do anything crazy with the front ones, but in the back, we have to take out a taillight. Let's go ahead and pop this out real quick. So go ahead, first take this one off, and you can pull it out. Now you're gonna have to remove this grommet here. Just be careful on the paint. And there you are. Now you're gonna have to reach underneath here, and you're gonna have to remove this little clip holding in the wire and slide it out of that tab, just like the front grill lights. Now the bottom is loosened up. Go ahead and pull it free. I know it looks like a tight squeeze, but it will come through, just like that. You can push this little tab down and remove this connector, and your old piece of garbage is free. Set that aside. Now go ahead and grab your side marker. Remember, there is a red one, and then there is a yellow one, amber. So this one with the yellow sticker is the amber one. That's gonna go to the front. The red side markers go in the back. Don't get that mixed up. Go ahead and plug the wiring back in. If for some reason it's not connecting properly and you don't hear that click, it's probably because you have a bunch of junk and debris in here. Just give it some taps, clean it out, and then make sure it clicks real nice. Then go ahead and put that connector back in, and then this is pressure fit, so all you gotta do is push it, and you're good to go. Give it a nice push, and that's all it takes. Be sure to test these by turning these on as well. Check out your side marker, it's so much brighter than it was before. Do the other side, hop in the back, and let's get that tail light out so we can put the other side markers in. All right, so we're at the back of the vehicle. We're gonna install those red side markers. You are gonna need a drill and a pry tool. We're gonna go ahead and lower the tailgate, because we are going to have to remove this tail light here to access the wiring so we can remove this side marker. In this case, it's an 8mm socket. There's a bolt on the top. Remove that, and the one on the bottom. With those 2 bolts removed, you can go ahead and pull this tail light towards you. It might give you a little bit of a fight if it hasn't been out in a while. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and unplug these. It's going to make it a little bit easier to work with. Just take the bulbs out, turn them counterclockwise. There we are. Like the rest of the connectors, they might be a little bit difficult to pull apart. That is if you're going off-road a lot, there's a lot of dust in here. Just push this little tab down, it will come out. Now you can go ahead and take your pry tool and remove this. Push the pry tool into the side, and you can remove this first piece, and then just like the front, do it again. Remove this rubber grommet all the way around, and there you are. Now you can just pull it through and replace it with that red side marker. The wiring's a little bit shorter, but it's still plenty of room to work with. Go ahead and feed the wiring through, plug it back into the same connector here. Plug and play, that's what I love about these housings. There you go, make sure you hear that click, and then you can go ahead and push this through. It's just pressure fit. You can take off your sticker if you want to, saying that it's the red one. Now in these ones, you may have to pull this rubber grommet out first. Put that in first, give it a push. And now you can put in your LED. And just like that, it is upgraded. Go do the same thing on the other side, test it to make sure they work, and let's keep moving. Make sure you transfer over that white tab so you can put the wiring up so it's not just dangling around. Well, now you can get to the mirror lighting. So these right here are actually reflectors, so this is going to be one heck of an upgrade. These are a sequential turn signal from Morimoto, and then underneath we're going to change the puddle lights here. These are also from Morimoto as well. He already upgraded these to Morimoto, so he did it right. That's what we would recommend at Headlight Revolution. So first, let's remove this old, nasty, dated mirror light. The cool part is I don't have to take this mirror off. On the newer trucks, you do have to take that front mirror off. This one, you do not have to. Just take a pry tool and put it in on this side. Just be careful. You don't want to break anything. And it pulls out. Now on this reflector right here on the driver's side, there's 2 prongs on the end. This one is kind of flat, so just focus on this. There's 2 on the driver's side. There's 1 prong on the passenger side. So just like the Morimoto housing, this has 2 prongs for the driver's side and 1 prong for the passenger side. So make sure you use these as a guide so you know which one to use on each side. So to get this wired up, we're gonna actually remove this puddle light. To remove this puddle light, go ahead and take your pry tool on this side here, and you'll pry it down. And there you are. You can go ahead and unplug it. This one I'm just going to leave plugged in because this is the one that we're going to install, the Morimoto XB puddle light. They're super bright, way better than your stock ones. Now pay attention because this can get a little tricky. You remove the puddle light. This right here did not have any power to it, it was just a reflector. What does have power to it is right back here. This is a turn signal, and that's where we're gonna get the power from to power up the front of this mirror light. So let's go ahead and reach up from underneath, inside where you remove that puddle light, try to grab those wires, fish them down, and we're gonna T-tap this into the bottom here. So after reaching up here, here are the two wires we're gonna T-tap into. We're gonna actually put the T-taps on here first, and then we're gonna connect that wiring we run through the mirror. As you can see, I'm putting the two wires into this T-tap, and I'm gonna squeeze it down onto it. Now that you're done using your pliers and making sure that that's clamped properly, we can go ahead and run the wiring. I'm just gonna run it in through one of these holes here. You can reach your finger up through the puddle light and fish it down. Now bring that down. Now I'm just gonna actually install this. Push these two grooves on this side down and push that in. There you go, it pops right into place. Now let's go ahead and put this in the wire tap. Now as you can see on this side, there's a little connector. We're gonna go ahead and just cut that off with the snips here. Now we're gonna go ahead and take these wires and put them in this T-tap here. This T-tap we just put in. This right here is a black wire. We're gonna run the black to the black. The black in this case is right there, so it runs down on the right side. Go ahead and put this in there. There's two little holes. Put the wiring through. All right, do the same thing on the positive. In this case, the red's gonna connect to the green wire. Put it through the hole and squeeze it, and then close it down with the pliers. All right, now I like to test things before I put the puddle light back in. All right, now hopefully it works. Yes, genius. Okay, that looks so much better than what you had before. Let's go ahead and tuck the wiring underneath, back up. Let's put the puddle light back in, and your upgrades are done on the mirror. There you are. So much better than stock. So you just got the mirror done, now we're gonna head to the back of the truck. Good on him, he had the puddle lights and he had the license plate lights. These things are super easy to connect. There's still that plug and play connector to a T10 connection. You can reach up through here. This is an aftermarket bumper though, so your install is gonna be a little bit different, so we're not gonna show you here. Another thing I'm not gonna show you, but is a really good option, is the Xenon Debo XTR LP. This is literally a light bar for the license plate. On this aftermarket bumper, there's a little bit more modifying than usual, so I'm not gonna show you on this, but we do have tons of install videos on that license plate light, and the install is pretty universal throughout the board. You put the license plate light through here, you run the wiring up to the reverse light, and you tap in through the tail light here. Speaking of tail light, if you have the Raptor and you've been following along this whole time, you've already taken out the tail light. That would have been a good time to do this install. If you had an F-150 and you're zooming ahead, this is the perfect time to now remove this tail light. Lower the tailgate. We're gonna replace the reverse light bulbs, the turn signal bulbs, and the brake light bulbs. The brake light and turn signal are the same light. They will hyper flash if you buy just junk. Let me show you what you need. First, let's remove this tail light. There's two bolts, one on the top, one on the bottom. Now you can go ahead and take this tail light and pull it towards you, just like that. And you got three bulbs here. So you got the top bulb, which is a brake and turn. Same with the middle. The middle one is your reverse light bulb. That one just twists counterclockwise. It's a little bit tough. A lot of dirt in here. And your other turn signal and brake light. Since there's a red face on this tail light, you want a red bulb. It's gonna look a lot better. That's the ideal look. This right here is your reverse light. And you want something stupid bright, because right now that incandescent bulb looks like trash. You can see on the wall the difference in lighting real quick between a bulb that's actually good and a bulb that does nothing. So what bulbs do we recommend? Well, usually I would say something like this. The Carbide 2, this is from GTR Lighting. However, you do need to tap in a bunch of resistors. You'll have to pull this wiring back and T-tap into it and then drill the resistors into here. You don't have to do that with this new bulb. You no longer need the resistors. Throw those away. GTR Lighting has this new bulb called the iLED bulb. These things are ridiculously bright. They come in multiple different colors. So like I said, I want a red bulb. This is exactly what we're looking for. Chris goes in depth on how to actually mount these up so that they work in any application. If you want to watch that video, click on that next. Now this bulb right here, if it's been on for a while, it's pretty hot. So make sure that cools before you remove it. The bulb size is a 3157. To remove it, I'm just going to use a microfiber so I don't burn myself here. Now I'm going to install the iLED bulb. The iLED bulb will come with something like this. It might be a cylinder, it might be something like this. On this side, it's got the 3157 connection, the exact same connection as your stock incandescent turn signal bulbs do. And then you just connect this side. It's waterproof. So go ahead and line up the keyway, give it a push, Twist it on, make sure it's nice and tight so you don't get any water or dust in here. This is going to be a failure point if you don't turn this all the way. You gotta keep it nice and tight. Once this is tightened on there, go ahead and plug it in. This now becomes plug and play. No more soldering, no more resistors like that. It is so much easier this way. I love that the iLEDs work without hyper flash. They don't flash super fast when you have the turn signals on. That's what we like. Do the same thing for the bottom one here. Grab your LED bulb, connect that waterproof connection, line up the keyways, give it a push, screw it on. They are polarity specific, so when you hit the turn signal, if they do hyper flash for some reason or they don't turn on, take it out, flip it 180 degrees, and push it back in, just like that. Then they'll work. Now we got the fun bulb. My favorite bulb because this is a drastic change in light output. This bulb is an incandescent T15 bulb. It's white and it's terrible. It is not gonna keep you safe when you're backing up. So we're just gonna throw that away. And in its place, we're going to install the GTR Lighting Ultra Reverse Light. I do think this is my favorite bulb. I know it's really weird because it's a reverse light bulb. It's my favorite bulb because it's worked every single time. I don't have to cut splice wiring. You just plug it in and it is ridiculously bright. It's stupid bright. But it does help you when you're backing up at nighttime and keeps you safe. It's a T10 connection, the same as the T15 connection. Plug in that connection, make sure it's nice and tight. And now this is the only one that gets a little bit tricky. When you're putting it back in the taillight, you're gonna wanna give it some pressure and turn at the same time. And there it is seated. You can give it a twist, but you can't pull it out. Make sure you put the right ones back in, the brake and turn signal. Give it a push and turn clockwise. And remember, if these don't go in properly, you just gotta align them a little bit better. And Chris will show you exactly how to do that in our video. Push and turn clockwise. All right, now you can go ahead and feed all this wiring through, put your 2 bolts back in, and the tail lights are completely upgraded. Line up that tail light and push it in, and there you go. I'm just gonna put this one in. I'm gonna test those lights to make sure they all work before I put the last bolt in. If for some reason your reverse light doesn't turn on, it is polarity specific as well. Take it out, flip it 180 degrees, and push it back in. All right, so as long as you've done the same thing on the other side and they all work, you're good to go. Now, we're gonna move to the cargo lights while we're out here. After that, we're gonna move to the interior lights so we can upgrade everything. Now, as cool as these spare tires are, they're a pain in the butt to get to the cargo lights. No big deal, because it is only 2 screws. It's super easy. We got 2 screws here, and we're gonna replace 2 bulbs on the inside. The bulbs in there are a T15 bulb. You can also put in a T10 bulb like this one if you want a ball on a little budget. These ones are the ones that I would recommend. There is 100 different T10 bulbs out there, and these GTR Lighting 10-chip bulbs are the way to go. And they're not gonna break the bank. If you wanna, like what I would do if this was my truck, you could still put in that GTR Ultra Reverse Light bulb. That bulb does fit in the same T10 slot, the same connector, and it does fit inside of this housing. A lot of the time that doesn't happen. In this case, it does, so that way when you're working and you're taking tires out or you're filling up your gas tank, whatever, you can see in your truck bed in the middle of the night. So if this was my truck, I would still put these in, even though they're a little more expensive than the T10 bulbs. Both good options. There's a lot of different varieties of this T10 bulb. The 10 chip is the brightest, it's the way to go. There's colored options, so make sure you get a white option if that's what you're gonna do. I'm gonna put this one in. To remove this housing, there are 2 screws. They're just Phillips screws. We're gonna start here. All right, with both of those screws removed, set them aside, and you can remove the housing. Just pulls away from the truck. On the Raptors, there's 3 lights here. And the F-150s, we don't have that. We just have these bulbs. T15 bulbs, counterclockwise turn, and you can remove them. And then there's a little clip here if you have a Raptor to remove this. There you go. That's all it is, holding this thing in there. I'm gonna set that down. I'm gonna throw these away. And go ahead and install these bulbs. Now these are polarity specific, just like the reverse lights. Put them in and test them to make sure that they actually work. If they don't work, flip them around 180 degrees. Make sure you hear them click, and I would recommend going to test these now. You don't have to put them in the housing, just test them where they're at right now. Let's see if I did okay. I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm only 100% wrong. Take them out, 180 degrees, and put it back in. There we are. Now, just like the reverse lights, these are gonna be pressure fit in, so you're gonna give them a push and twist at the same time, wait till they lock into place, and there you go. Super easy. Put another one in there, give it a push, twist, and then you can put your housing back in. Make sure you plug in this last connector if you have a Raptor. And there you are. Plenty of space in here to put this in. Go ahead and put your screws back in, and the cargo lights are now fully LED. They are totally upgraded. They are so much better than your stock bulbs. Now, we get to do the other fun part, the other bulbs on the inside of this truck. So far, we're doing pretty good. We've upgraded the cargo lights, the side markers, the mirror lights, the front lights on the Ford Raptors, and some headlights. Now, the interior is where it's at, because this is where you're going to be most of the time. When you're getting in and out of your vehicle, these lights are very important. A couple of really good options are these GTR lighting bulbs. There's some really bright ones, and then there's some medium bright ones, and some less bright ones. Why GTR? Because I have tested them personally long term for years and years in all these different vehicles. We get a lot of bulbs in. We test to make sure that those are the best ones so that we don't look like idiots on YouTube. So here we are. There's a 10 chip. That's the one I told you could put in your cargo light. They're extremely bright. That's what I'm going to put into this truck right now. We're going to upgrade these incandescent bulbs up here, these nasty, dingy orange incandescent bulbs, to this 10 chip bulb from GTR Lighting, because that's super bright. If you don't want to be blinded, or if you think that will blind you when you open your door every single time you get in, there is a 6 chip. Now this is just a little bit less bright, still as reliable, still as consistent. There's another one too. It's this flat LED one. This one is going to be your least bright option, but it is a little bit more budget friendly. There's not a big price difference here, so I'm going to go ahead with that 10 chip. To install them, go ahead and open up your sunglasses there, and we're going to actually have to remove this whole housing. You don't need a tool for it really, because there's some black tabs up here. You're going to be able to remove it from there, pull the other side, just work it through. As you pull it down, it will come free, and then you've got these wires here, one here and one here. Go ahead and push this tab and unplug them. Push the tab, pull it loose, push the tab, and pull it free. Here we go. Now we got this entire housing free. Now let's flip it over. First, remove this clear plastic. There are 4 little tabs on each side. We're going to go ahead and remove that. There's 2 more on this side, and boom, there it is. It is free. Now you can see the incandescent T10 bulbs in there. That's the size. T10 is the size. If they've been on for a very long time, they're extremely hot, so be careful. If you need to use a pliers or something, or a tweezers, whatever, to get them out, that's a good option. Now, if you don't want to take a tweezers in here, another cool option is flipping it over and using a little tiny pick or a screwdriver or something. You can actually reach in this hole and push the T10 bulb out. So reach in and push the bulb out, and you'll see it fall. Let's do that same thing on this one real quick. There we go. And that's what it looks like. Let's upgrade it. Grab your T10 bulb and put it in that same holder. These two are polarity specific. If they don't work, take them out, flip them 180 degrees, and put them back in. There they are. And the next one, they look like a tight fit, but they will work. Once you've tested to make sure they work, go ahead and put that cover back on and then reinstall it. Now we're going to put it up. These GTR bulbs produce a really cool color, that bright white color instead of that dingy, warm looking color. So let's go ahead and put this back in. Push this front side in first, and then slowly work your way up. I love LED bulbs, and this is incredible light. This is so much brighter. At nighttime, you're gonna be much happier. Let's get to the back real quick. As you can see, it's terrible. It's pretty straightforward. This is what I would recommend. It's the 42mm GTR Lighting Armor Series brand festoon bulb. It lasts a long time, and it overall does exactly what it needs to do. Be bright. To do this install, it's easy. You're gonna reach up with a pry tool like this one here on the front side. Once you pull that down, work it away. You can use a pry tool, or you can use your hands, pull it down. If you need to, you can push this backwards now that this one is free, and pull it down, and it should come free like that. Now there's your bulb. Like all these bulbs, if they're on for a long time, they're super hot. Reach up with the pliers and remove it. There you are. Careful, that's hot. I cannot say that enough because I have been burnt multiple times. Go ahead and take your bulb. Another reason I really like these festoon bulbs is that there's a heat sink on the back here. This is going to disperse the heat properly, and it's going to let it live for a long time. The longevity of these bulbs are really good. So go ahead, take this bulb, put it up inside just like you replaced the other one. They can go in either way. Grab the bulb and push it up. And if you need to, you can position it and angle it in different directions. So if you wanted it facing more back, you sure can. I like it mostly straight down, so there we are. And put your cover back on and you're good to go. Do the back first, push that in, clip it in, and the top, and you're good to go. Way better. All right, so we've done the side markers, interior, and everything else. Everything is now LED. Guys, the reason we make these videos is so that you don't have to waste all your money testing to see what works. We use a lot of the same products and everything because those are the products that we have tested that actually work. Don't stop there though. There are rock lights that we have tested too. We've tested a whole bunch of different kinds. We did a rock light shootout. Be sure to check out that video. There's also a bunch of off-road lighting you can do to these vehicles, especially when you're driving a Raptor, right? These right here are the Squadron Sports from Baja Designs. Now, are these the best ones to put on the A-pillar of this truck? That is a good question because I hear that Morimoto has a product coming out and I would love to do a shootout between all of these to see which one of these pod lights is the best. So stay tuned, we are going to make that video when the time comes. Be on the lookout for those. If you want anything else headlights related, go to headlightrevolution.com, type in your year, make, and model, and we'll tell you exactly what the best options are for your truck.